two perfectly symmetrical jets firing from opposite poles of an interstellar object, both aligned within 8 degrees of the Sun. Before perihelion, the North Pole blasts a jet toward our star. After perihelion, it switches to the South Pole, doing the exact same thing. The probability of this alignment happening naturally? 0.0025%. That's 1 in 40,000 chance. Hubble's latest images confirm what shouldn't exist. 3. I/ATLAS is defying every natural explanation we have. Coincidence or design? Let's dive right in. For months now, we've been watching 3I/ATLAS do something that shouldn't be possible. It's firing massive jets directly toward the Sun, not away from it like every comet we've ever studied. These anti-solar jets stretch 500,000 to 1,000,000 kilometers into space, pushing straight against the solar wind like a swimmer fighting a riptide. Let me put this in perspective. At less than 2 astronomical units from the Sun, the solar wind is absolutely brutal. This is the same radiation that would cook every living thing on Earth's surface if we didn't have our magnetic field protecting us. Yet somehow 3I/ATLAS is blasting material directly into this cosmic hurricane, maintaining these jets day after day, week after week. Normal comets can barely manage anti-solar features that survive a few hundred kilometers, maybe 2,000 at most, and that's extraordinarily rare. But 1,000,000 kilometers, that's farther than the distance from Earth to the Moon. Nothing in our natural understanding of comets should be capable of this. And yet, here we are. Then scientists detected something interesting, a periodic wobble in these jets. Finally, proof that the object's rotation affects the jets. But when they measured it, they found something deeply puzzling. The jet base is offset by less than 8 degrees from the rotation poles. Not 30 degrees, not 15 degrees, less than 8 degrees. What this means is that as the nucleus spins every 15.48 hours, the jet traces an incredibly narrow cone around the rotation axis. Think of it like a lighthouse beam that barely moves as the lighthouse rotates. For the jet to stay this tightly aligned while also pointing directly at the Sun, as 3I/ATLAS approached from beyond 5 astronomical units, the math shows this has a 0.5% chance of happening randomly. That's 1 in 200. Already suspicious, right? But here's where things take a turn that makes my skin crawl. This precise 8-degree alignment created what scientists describe as a steady day side and a steady night side during approach. Just like Earth's polar regions during summer where the sun never sets, the active region on 3I/ATLAS never rotated into darkness. It stayed in constant sunlight, firing that jet continuously toward the Sun. If the alignment had been different, say 30 or 40 degrees off the pole, we would have seen obvious interruptions. The active spot would rotate in and out of sunlight, creating gaps in the jet. We'd see the pulsing pattern that every natural comet should display. But we don't see that pattern. We see continuous, uninterrupted activity because the source stayed permanently illuminated. Now, 3I/ATLAS reached its closest point to the Sun, perihelion, on October 29, 2025. After that, everything should have changed. The geometry flipped. What was on the day side during approach is now on the night side during departure. The active North Pole region that was blasting that jet, it's now in complete darkness. Logic says those jets should stop. They should fade. They should behave completely differently. But when Hubble captured new images on December 15th, something impossible appeared in the data. 3I/ATLAS is still firing a prominent anti-solar jet directly at the Sun. Same intensity, same tight collimation within 8 degrees, same incredible half-million-kilometer reach, defying the solar wind. How is this possible? Because the jet is now coming from the opposite pole. The South Pole has taken over, firing from almost the exact same position relative to its pole, again within 8 degrees of the rotation axis, again perfectly aligned with the sun's direction, as if someone flipped a switch at perihelion. Let me walk you through what we're actually looking at here. The chance of one ice pocket being positioned within 8 degrees of a rotation pole and aligned with the sun's direction is 0.5%. Unlikely, but technically possible, but we're not looking at one pocket. We're looking at two. One at the North Pole that was active during approach, another at the South Pole that activated during departure, both within 8 degrees of their respective poles, both perfectly aligned to fire at the sun at exactly the right times. The probability? 0.005 multiplied by 0.005 equals 0.000025. That's 0.0025%, or 1 in 40,000 chance. And this isn't even accounting for the fact that these jets maintain perfect collimation across 500,000 kilometers while fighting against solar radiation that should tear them apart instantly. Let me ground this in real measurements. The nucleus is roughly 2 kilometers in radius. Spinning at a 15.5-hour rotation period, the centrifugal force at its surface is 0.0025 centimeters per second squared. That's 2.6 millionths of Earth's gravity. Basically nothing. So this rotation isn't about creating artificial gravity, but it is real, measured, and confirmed. The wobble is there. The jets are affected by the spin, just minimally. Everything in the data points to active regions positioned right at the poles, switching from one to the other at precisely perihelion. And this is just the 14th anomaly. There are 13 others that we've documented, including the trajectory itself. 3. I/ATLAS isn't wandering randomly through our solar system. Its path is taking it almost exactly toward Jupiter's Hill radius, the gravitational sweet spot where an object could easily deploy probes to study the giant planet. The odds of randomly heading towards such a strategically valuable location were already vanishingly small before we discovered this dual pole symmetry. For this to be entirely natural, we have to accept that a comet formed in another star system with ice pockets at both rotation poles, positioned within 8 degrees of those poles, with a rotation axis that happens to align with the sun's direction during approach, where the first pocket activates and creates jets that survive impossible distances against the solar wind, then conveniently goes dormant after perihelion, while a second pocket at the opposite pole immediately activates with the same precision. And both jets maintain perfect collimation despite solar forces that should destroy them. Stack those probabilities together, and you're not looking at unlikely. You're looking at functionally impossible. Now consider the alternative. A spacecraft with directional thrusters positioned at both poles. During approach, it uses the North Pole thruster for course corrections. After perihelion, it switches to the South Pole thruster. The alignment isn't coincidence, it's intentional design. The jets maintain collimation because they're controlled outflows, not random sublimation. They point at the sun because that's the navigational reference point. The switch happens at perihelion because that's when the geometry demands it. Everything that seems impossible under natural explanations becomes straightforward engineering under technological ones. What frustrates me most about this entire situation is the silence. These aren't fringe observations from amateur astronomers. The rotation period is measured and confirmed. The jet alignment is documented in peer-reviewed papers. The probability calculations are straightforward mathematics. Hubble Space Telescope captured the December images. Ground-based observatories confirmed everything. Yet when you read mainstream coverage, 3I/ATLAS is described as an unremarkable comet. NASA's press releases omit these extraordinary details. News agencies report it as just another icy visitor passing through. The anomalies don't disappear because we ignore them. The 0.0025% probability doesn't change because it makes us uncomfortable. The dual-pole symmetry exists in the data whether we acknowledge it or not. Spectroscopic observations are coming soon. Scientists want to analyze the exact composition of these jets, measure their mass loss rate, and determine their velocity. Those measurements will reveal more about the launch mechanism. But the real question nobody seems willing to ask is, what if those results show something that doesn't match natural outgassing? What if the velocity profiles indicate controlled thrust rather than passive sublimation? The data keeps accumulating. Every new observation makes the natural explanation stretch further while the technological explanation remains elegantly simple. We're watching this unfold right now, in real time. 3I/ATLAS is visible, trackable, and under constant observation by the world's best telescopes. Whatever this object truly is, it's not hiding. So here's what the data tells us. Two jets firing from opposite poles, both aligned within 8 degrees, both perfectly timed with perihelion, switching from north to south exactly when needed. The probability of this happening naturally? 0.0025%. That's 1 in 40,000. These aren't theories. These are measurements from Hubble, confirmed by ground observatories, published in scientific papers. The rotation period is 15.48 hours. The jets extend 500,000 kilometers. The alignment is precise to within 8 degrees at both poles. Whether this is a modified asteroid, advanced engineering, or the most improbable natural phenomenon ever recorded, that's for you to decide. But the numbers don't lie. The symmetry is real. And 3I/ATLAS is still out there, performing maneuvers that defy every natural explanation we have. What's your take? Natural freak occurrence or something designed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think. If this opened your eyes to what's really happening with 3I/ATLAS, smash that like button, subscribe to Galactic Breaking News, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. We're tracking every update on this object, and trust me, this story isn't over.